Hello and welcome back to this brand new video. Do you want to become a systematic trader? Do you not have time to learn a programming language? One of the coaches at the Unger Academy here, and today we want to address all those who answered yes to those two questions. We'll present the 3 solutions reserved for our Unger Academy students to become a trader without learning to write a single line of code. If you want to get the free guide to our tips and how to start trading without learning a programming language, comment below in the description with the word programming. Well, let's get right into it. But first, I invite you to subscribe to our channel, click on the bell and leave a like for this video. Okay, so anyone who wants to become a systematic trader knows they have to use one of the many platforms the market offers. What all platforms have in common is the fact that they are machines and only understand specific languages, which we call machine languages. The most widely used languages in the world and suitable for systematic traders are Easy Language and Power Language, which are almost identical and are used by the TradeStation and Multicharts platforms respectively. Until yesterday, learning one of these languages was mandatory to become a systematic trader. And here comes the problem, because so many of you not only don't know these languages, but you don't even have the time or desire to learn them. I will not hide that learning a new language was never high on my wish list either. However, we faced this problem at Unger Academy and decided to solve it by doing something different. We developed 3 different alternative tools with which traders don't have to write a single line of code. I'd like to show you them by testing on the field. The first of these solutions proposed by Unger Academy is called Composer. Composer is proprietary software that allows us to create any strategy from nothing. The second solution is to use existing templates and optimize some parameters. The last solution, which is undoubtedly the most immediate, is to take advantage of many strategies already validated by the Academy's technical team and have proven profitable for several years. Here we are at Composer, the first of the solutions I mentioned. It looks like this. Here we see a mask with rules for market entries and here a similar mask for exit rules. We can see that we don't need to code anything at all. We must select which rules we want to use to enter or exit the market. In this case, I chose a kind of reversal strategy based on limit orders and the low and high of the previous session. Then I select the times I want to enter the market between 10 p.m. and 1 a.m. Here above are the session times of the reference instrument and a possible operational break. I can decide whether I want to trade only long, only short, or in both directions, and add filters such as patterns, because we also have proprietary patterns at Unger Academy, or other filters that are among the best known in technical analysis. Here we have limited the number of daily entries to the value of 1, which we can change. And for the exits, we'll have to decide again what the rule should be. In this case, I've set 4 sessions as the maximum number of days the trade can last, and 2 monetary exits in the form of a stop loss and a take profit of $1,500 and $5,000 respectively. When I click Generate Code at this point, I get a message that the code has been generated, and here in the Output tab, we find our code. Let's say that at first sight, this may mean nothing to us, so let's go and copy and paste it into the Power Language editor of Multicharts. In this case, we're using Multicharts as a platform, and the Power Language editor is the program in the Multicharts suite that we can use the code with. So we paste the code, we compile it, and see that the code has been compiled correctly. So we have no problems with creating the code, and now we can apply it to a chart. I have uploaded here a 15-minute chart of Nasdaq futures from 2008. I'll go find my code, which I just copied, and apply it to my chart. Let's give the strategy time to calculate and look at the report. This strategy generates $190,000 in profit with a maximum loss of $27,000. This is undoubtedly a nice curve with some regularity and an average trade value of $196, which is great for this instrument. We think we're just getting started and we can refine some parameters later. I would point out to you that the investment in question, the Nasdaq, has gone up a lot over the years, but in 2022, as you know, it had a terrible year. We're certainly seeing an accentuated decline here, but here, at this point in history, so last year, The strategy performed very well. We can look at that in the annual report, which shows a gain of almost $49,000 in 2022, the best in the entire historical range that we looked at. Let's now turn to the second solution proposed by Unger Academy. I mentioned the existence of the templates we created. These are pre-built codes that the trader can use for different instruments. In this case, I plotted the gasoline chart with a 15-minute time frame and data from 2010. I'm using one of these pre-made templates where I still need to optimize the parameters you see here. The first ones are related to the session times, so they are related to the instrument. They are correct for the gasoline. We see patterns that we could optimize and stop and profit monetary exits and times. The first thing I might look at, for example, is whether changing the entry time window might be beneficial. So we can launch an optimization of the my start trade and my end trade parameters by varying them within the session. We can then vary my start trade from 6 p.m. to 11 p.m. So assuming that we enter a little bit after the session start, and my end trade, for example, from midnight to 5 p.m. So at the end of the session to see if there are some preferred times over others. Let's launch an optimization. Here are the results. Here, highlighted in blue, you can see the condition we started from, and sorted by decreasing net profit, we see all the other results as the operating window. The time window changes. We find that there are so many better cases than the one we started with. For example, if we start at 8 p.m. instead of 6 p.m., instead of working from 2 p.m., we seem to get much better results. We have a maximum drawdown of about the same as when we started. The average trade has increased from $214 to $241, as has the net profit, which has increased from $349,000 to $378,000. So this is a pair of values we like and choose from our system. At this point, we can review the metrics we've arrived at. We see a system gain of $378,000 with a maximum loss of $42,000 and certainly an increasing curve. Other parameters that we could optimize are the patterns that I have mentioned. For example, I'll show you how to optimize one of these patterns. Let's pick the one we called pattern neutral, yes, from 1 to 55 in steps of 1. Here is the result of this optimization. In blue, the condition where we started with an average trade of $241. And among all the different alternatives, this one stands out to us, which increases the average trade from $241 to $303 while reducing the maximum drawdown. So it's a solution that we like, and I point out that we didn't touch the code at all. We didn't have to open it at all. So let's select that solution and let's continue. So we've chosen our pattern number 15, and in a very similar way, I've also chosen a second pattern, which we see here as number 35. Let's recap for a moment. We started from an existing system, a pre-made template. We optimized the time window, so the time window for market entries by choosing 8 p.m. as the start and 2 p.m. as the end, and we chose two patterns. We've used a stop loss of $1,500 so far. We could ask ourselves if any other value would be profitable and maybe even add a profit target. We can do this by optimizing these two values. We will do this in the range of $1,000 to $3,000 in steps of 100 for the stop loss and from 0 up to $8,000 in steps of 500 for the take profit. Again, we'll look at the results of the optimization to make a decision. This is the level we started from, and if you remember, we had a stop loss of $1,500 and no take profit. We made $356,000 with an average trade of about $390. This isn't the best solution. In fact, after ranking them by decreasing net profit, we see that there are many better combinations than this. At the top, we find the combination with a stop loss of $2,300 and a take profit of $7,500. Which reduces the maximum drawdown and increases the average trade as well as the net profit. So we find this solution very good and we decide to go for it. Let's take a look at what we did. At this point, let's take our strategy with the adjusted final inputs and see the metrics. This is the curve that is definitely going up very steadily. We've seen that the average trade is over $500, which is a very high value for this instrument. And if we look at the strategy's annual report, we see that apart from 2013, the strategy would have gained, and last year would have been really explosive. Again, I remind you that we didn't have to touch the code. We don't even know what the code for this strategy looks like. Still, with simple optimizations done by multi-charts, we were able to create a strategy practically from zero, starting from a template that was already available, and get a great curve. And now we come to the third possible solution. This is the $1 million database developed by the Academy itself, which collects dozens of profitable strategies, the best of the last few years. Let's take a look at some of these strategies. If we take a strategy for the DAX, we can see the positive return, which is coloured in orange, and the trend since the strategy went live, let's say out of sample. To change the instrument, we can take a strategy on copper, the price is touching all-time highs, or others like the SP500, which was also positive in the last period, and again we see the out of sample part is the one in orange. I'd like to point out these strategies have all been validated by the technical team at Unger Academy, and as we have seen, they have also been proven to work because they were launched months, if not years ago. So these are strategies that can be traded immediately. They don't require any further optimization because the parameters have already been selected, and they take away any problems or complications. They are also very suitable for creating diversified portfolios because they use different instruments, not only indexes, but also commodities, soft commodities, metals, and energy commodities. They are really diverse. So this is the third possible solution that saves us from any complexity in terms of programming language. I'd like to remind you that if you want to receive the free guide with our tips on how to start trading without having to learn a programming language, just write the word programming below in the description. Well, in summary, today we saw that if you want to become a systematic trader but aren't part of the Unger Academy, you'll need to learn programming language. And this will require some investment of time and focus. Otherwise, we have shown you 3 tools reserved for Unger Academy students that will allow you to become a systematic trader without writing a single line of code. If you're interested in the world of systematic trading, I recommend you click on the link in the description. From there, you can watch a video by Andrea Unger, get our best-selling book by just covering shipping costs, or even book a free call with a member of our team. If you enjoyed the video, please leave us a like, subscribe to our channel, and click on the notification bell so you can stay updated. Thanks for your attention and see you next time.